Much better.
Much better. Amy, I am
Thank you.
so pleased that you have decided to hang out with me for a little bit today and to chat about your upcoming video and about life and love and all the things with me.
Of
Thank you.
course. Of course. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. So, do you want to start by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about who you are and why you're here?
Sure. My name is Amy D. I'm an artist who's from the Bay Area, based in San Jose, born and raised, and I sing kind of a mixture of jazz, soul, R&B, world music. I don't often like to throw it around those style titles too much. I just think the music that I make is just a culmination of so many different influences and
Mm-hmm.
music that I love. So, most of all, it's important to me to write and perform purpose driven music that's based in emotion and authentic
Mm.
storytelling. So,
I have to tell you that as I was getting ready for this conversation today, I was thinking back over the years of knowing you and remembering way back when and trying to think of conversations that we might have had. And I couldn't come up with any, but what I could remember was all of the awkward glances and looks that we would give each other just in choir or passing in the hallway or outside. And I'm just so pleased that after all of this time that we are able to use words with each other.
I think we just
And
had a lot of subtext. We had a lot of
yes,
opinions and a lot of
we
subtext
sure
going on.
did. We sure did. And I often knew exactly what it was that you were communicating just by looking at whatever
Yeah,
awkward look was coming my way.
I definitely wear my heart on my sleeve and on my face. So that makes a lot of sense.
I love that about you. And I also love getting to see this new side of you and your fullness, your Gemini rising, which I appreciate as one myself, using all
Yes.
of the words and language to bring forth your story. And I'm really excited to talk today about this song that you are releasing the video for. Why don't we jump in and talk about the story behind it? First, introduce the song, and then tell us the story behind it.
Sure. So I released an album in 2019, November. It's called Like You. And before the full album came out, I was able to release a few singles. And as we know, lots of changes have happened since then. I had some really fun release celebrations for that. And unfortunately, all of that came to a little bit of a halt. But I still want to find ways to honor my album and the music that's on it. And so one of my favorite songs, The One Not Me, is the last song of the album. And unfortunately, sometimes
Mm.
the last song doesn't get the love that the first song does, or even the third song. I think with modern attention spans, it's like the
Yes,
my own ability to listen to an
sure.
album from cover to cover, can be limited, and I really try my best to be present from beginning to end with music. But in fact, like even if it's the last song, it's my favorite. Forgetting your touch, forgetting your love. How could I brace the seismic waves within my heart? But you won't remember. I love moody, sad love songs. I love ballads. So
Yes.
I would say The One Not Me is somewhat of an homage to my background in jazz and musical theater.
Hmm.
Kind of brings those two worlds together, and It's just a sad girl moment for anyone who needs it.
Um, I love this song. And I have to tell you that when I first heard it, I sobbed my eyeballs out because I felt like it was speaking all of the words that I haven't been able to communicate in the past when my heart has been broken. How do you think love and heartbreak impacts music and art in general?
Well, certainly for me, I think some of the most real and effective, I guess, songs that I've ever written have been centered in sadness or in heartbreak. But you won't remember once you found her, the one, not me. I find it challenging sometimes to write like an authentic love song, you know? Like, maybe that comes from thinking that everything's already been said. But I think
Oh,
when it comes to heartbreak, there's so much nuance and like physical experience of sadness and grief in that.
yeah.
And the one, not me, I wrote. It was before the breakup. It was, wow, things are kind of falling apart
Mm,
here.
mm,
And I'm not really speaking to this person right now because it's really complicated.
yeah.
And I just sat down, and the first line of the song is like an ooh, which is somewhat like of a siren call of some
Mm,
type. And I just remember feeling so sad and sitting down and singing ooh. And I see it like I'm kind of like sending this person away.
mm.
And and you have to be two really emotionally regulated people to break up in an
Oh,
amicable and peaceful fashion. Don't you think?
oh,
Like,
ain't that the truth? Yes,
and
yes.
I don't think I was at that point, and I don't definitely don't think the other person was. But this song is a way of saying, look, I am so grateful for the times that we've had. I will have to forget in some ways the love and the
Mm,
romance and the rapture of our connection in order to recover. And
wow.
the last verse is, at last I'm at peace and letting you go.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's enough songs about that moment where people are at peace with the decision that they've made to move
Yeah.
on.
I think of breakup songs that are really petty and mean, which I also love.
I have
But
those too, so it's fine.
but this is done in such a loving way, and it kind of leaves you thinking about how can I how could I still honor a love that once was, blossoming and beautiful and positive, without having to go so far in the other extreme of hating the person or wishing them ill. It's I have been pondering that pretty much daily since I heard the song.
It takes a lot of courage to, not just courage, okay, courage is on one side, but I think it takes a lot of awareness to know when you've stayed too long or when it is no longer of service to you or the other person. Because the reality is, if a relationship is not of service to you, it's definitely not still of service to the other person. But
Right,
the
right.
courage piece that I was talking about, the courage, it takes one person to step forward and say, hey, it's complicated, but this
Right.
isn't really working anymore. But, and whoever, both people on both sides get painted in less than savory ways.
Yeah.
Even, and I also was thinking before we spoke today that when were we ever taught to say no or to say goodbye in our lives?
You know what? Oh, that is really deep. Amy, because
Amy. Kendra.
uh,
I knew we
every
were going to go
time.
some places today. I just felt
Yes,
it. So
yes. Every time, so many nuggets of wisdom. I'm obsessed with us.
I'm obsessed with us too. How could I break the bond that set my soul afire, forgetting that September, once you found her, the one, not me.
Since the song was so personal to you and has a such a personal story behind it, I'm curious what kind of came up for you or what you learned once the song had come together fully and you felt like you had shared the story that you wanted to.
Well, I think this video is definitely part of that process. And I think that's what's so powerful about songs is that the meaning behind them just gets more potent over time. And it starts to mean different things, you know. The one, not me, you know, obviously the title alone. I see it as a song about saying goodbye, of course, but also a
Mm-hmm.
song that's about the feelings around not being chosen. Like, you know that you're not the person for this person. And it goes to like our opportunities as artists too. It's like sometimes you know you find out that you're not the artist for this
Mm-hmm.
opportunity or for this
Mm-hmm.
like this pathway. And so we all like, especially as artists, but you know, human beings in general, we grapple with rejection and finding what's right or what's not right for us. You know
Sure.
what's interesting is that when I've performed it live in person, like with an audience, it's usually a guy who comes up to me, a male bodied, male presenting person, who
Mm-hmm.
comes up to me and says, that last song that you played, you know, I really can imagine all the feelings based on the experience that you're describing in the lyrics. It's so unexpected every time, but it's
Yeah.
like I'm grateful that I think what I learn with every song is that the hope is that you're telling a story that someone can relate to, or
Mm-hmm.
describing feelings that someone has felt but maybe not been able to articulate. I mean, I could do a whole night of ballads and sad girl songs, but there's a
Sign
time
me
and a
up.
place. There's a time
Sign
and a
me up.
place. Yeah, exactly. So I think this video, you know, hopefully reflects some of the emotional aspects of this song in a visual way, which is what's so cool about music videos, I
Yeah.
think.
Speaking about the video, without giving too much away, can you share a little bit about the story or the stories that are being told in this video?
Sure. So, first of all, this thing was shot on iPhone in the middle of a pandemic. And so
Yes.
it has been a process and involved a number of artists kind of creating footage in separate areas. So it was a practice in patience, and then also in some ways like letting go of the outcome. Just like, okay, this is the song. Can you help me tell this story?
Mm.
That sinking feeling that you're looking for another soul in me. You know, like there's so
Yeah.
many cliche ways we could have done it, and like just basically what I wanted to do was illustrate, you know, closeness and distance in relationships and how we grieve and what it looks like,
Mm.
and hopefully the visuals and like the facial expressions and just the mood of it gives people that experience, or
Mm.
at least
Yeah.
allows them to be seen. I worked with my friend Craig Black, who's an incredible dancer, one of our mutual friends, and he I did not know what he was going to bring to the table for this video, but with simple movements like sitting close, and then
Hmm.
like how does it feel when you're sitting far from your partner,
Yes.
or hands, or just mood within the movement. Like I think that was the main thing. I was like, I don't want it to be just like a I don't want it to be a sequential story. I want
Hmm.
it to be
Hmm.
an expression of like a human expression of feelings that happen in the process of breaking up or even in being together.
That it's done beautifully. And as I'm listening to you talk about the experience of creating this, it strikes to me a parallel between the message of the song, honestly, and the experience that you had creating this being close to it, but also having to be apart from it, letting other people kind of control and react and and pour into it, and then ultimately letting it go.
Ooh, it can be so difficult to love what we make,
Mm,
you know?
mm,
I think, certainly in the studio I worked on this album with Michael Auberg, who's he's a wizard among us. Really incredible pianist and keyboardist and producer and everything. And I put the sheet music in front of him. He had never looked at it before on the day we're recording it, but that's the type of musician he is, that he's like, okay, cool, we'll just figure it out. So we did 3 takes of this
yes.
song in the studio, and I love the way he played it, and he painted it in a totally different way than
Mm,
I play it for myself or than other
mhm.
people have played it for me. And so I love that. And the video I love too. It's a collection of so many creative ideas, and it's also representative of this time.
Mm,
It's
yeah.
it's representative of perseverance, like how to keep the dream of this album alive in this
Yeah.
really strange time, and how to like give light and life to a song that I really love that's already there, that's available for people to listen to now. And
Yeah.
that's I see music as a form of love and comfort. And so
Yeah.
if this video allows another opportunity for people to feel that and to connect with the song, that is, that's a gift to me, really. It just makes
Yeah.
my journey and the process of creating worthwhile.
Because I'm interested in hearing from you, like how you cultivate and maintain your relationship, your love with music and songwriting.
Whew. I mean, it is an interesting and complex relationship, you know? I think in one way, my voice and voices in general, and sharing my voice and like learning more about it and being able to use it more effectively, and then seeing what I can do with the song. I think that has been a guiding force,
Mm,
and also just life experience. I was just talking to someone yesterday about cultivating,
mm.
and it's really like with age and with experience, like what I want to say and how I want to say it musically
Yeah.
changes,
Mm,
constantly changes. And sometimes, I mean, I don't feel like writing or creating. Sometimes I'm like, okay, the well is kind of dry right now. I need to focus on something else. I think often as artists, we don't give ourselves permission to veer from the path, but the reality is we must, in order to come
yes.
back to it with a sense of love and a sense of
Mm,
endearment. Like, I think the creative process requires that. It requires space and closeness at the same time.
yeah.
At last I'm at peace in letting you go. But when I think of you, my heart will long to smile.
Yeah. Oh,
Now
that's
it's
beautiful. I love the idea of stepping away and coming back in order to to continue to grow with music. And um, that's so true. That's so true of people too, right?
Yeah, well, and
That
I want to be in a discovery process with music. So, like,
mhm.
one week I want to listen to like Brazilian music, and the next week I'm curious about listening to an Aretha Franklin record from beginning
Mhm.
to end and seeing what I
Right.
hear, or active listening to it. Or sometimes I want to write. Sometimes, like, music especially, there's so many different options for being stimulated by it. Do I want to sing? Do I want to play the piano?
Mm.
Do I want to loop? Do I want to listen to
Yeah.
music? Do I want to, like, it's, I think maybe sometimes the concept of like what it means to be a musician is the off putting part.
Sure. Sure.
It's like, oh, being in a practice room for 6 hours? I don't think so.
Definitely don't miss those days. Um, the way you describe music and talk about music, quite honestly, it sounds like the most perfect lover you could have. Uh,
So sometimes Eleven needs to go home.
right, right. Like there's the familiar, there's the surprises and the excitement, but there's also times where you have to take your own seat in your own corners, and miss each other. I think that's really important. I'm curious, in your own words, what you're hoping that people will take away with them and carry with them after seeing it.
Hmm. If anything, I hope this video combined with the song gives people an opportunity for release,
Hmm.
because so much of or at least so much of the promotion, and like even like the first song of my album is an anthem for self-love and empowerment. So it's like, yes, like you've got it, like go shine,
Yes.
and I think our whole human society, the whole world right now, there's so much pain,
Yeah. Yeah.
and and release and an ability to transmute or feel and experience that pain is so necessary. And so
Yes.
I just felt that this was the perfect time to share this story again and maybe give
Yes.
people that opportunity.
Now our time is over. Once you found her, the one, not me.
I mean, please cry. That is the ultimate affirmation that my music and art, like, that's like the ultimate thing. If someone
Yes.
says that they cried, I'm like, I won.
I did it. Yes.
Not in
Uh,
a like
no, I got
weird
it.
way,
I didn't
but
think you were like collecting our tears or
yeah.
anything. Like, as you're leading up to the release of this video, what are you doing, if you've thought about this, to savor the moment?
Oh, that is so, I'm gonna say, interesting. It's very um I mean, I'm just gonna say it now. It's very difficult to
Mm.
do, really, because it's
Mm.
just, it's separate of me. It's a piece of art that is separate
Sure.
of me, but it's also not. It's very entangled in my emotions. So the best thing I can do anytime I release or share something that's of me or of my art is release any sort of attachment to the outcome.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's like the ultimate practice. That is something I've been looking at a lot over the past year. It's like, why am I so obsessed? It's like, oh, because I'm a musician, and literally part of the joy of music and what I do is receiving applause. So
Mm. Yes.
how could I possibly separate myself from that? But yeah, I think part of making it special, or savoring it, is also not immediately like giving it all away.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's beautiful. I think you're so intentional with everything that you do, as far as I can see. And just hearing you explain how this is going to be released confirms that. I think that's so intentional and wonderful that you are that you're holding this dear and letting it go in its time. I think that's amazing.
The one, not me.
For those of us who are just fiending for some more Amy D, like, how can we get more?
Well, my whole album, 11 songs, is available on all streaming platforms. So if you just look up Amy D Like You, you can find it on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, iTunes, YouTube, wherever you listen to music. So there's that. And also, you know, follow me on Instagram. I haven't made it over to the TikTok yet, but my handle is AmyD_music. So that's primarily where I share. I also have a website, AmyD-music.com. So that's where you can find me. But I'll definitely be talking more about the release, and I'm super grateful for your support and your team's support in uplifting this project and really, you know, continuing your vision of storytelling and supporting artists here. It's really an honor to be a part of this stage of the
Oh my
evolution.
goodness. The honor is at least half mine. I won't claim that all of it is mine, but it's at least half of it. Thank you so much, Amy. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today and get in the middle. Like she said, follow her on social, check her out on Spotify, all the things. Get more Amy D. We'll see you soon.